Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Dan here as always, and in this video we're going to be doing another product review, and one I'm pretty excited about and one that has been getting a lot of attention recently in the modeling market. It is going to be reviewing the Athearn RTR CSX NS patched SD40-2. My particular model here is CSX 8911. I have this model, I've just received it, and we're going to be reviewing it live unboxing here. I have not taken this out of the box yet, so if there's any problems with it, you guys will see it as I unbox it here. So let's get started on this exciting review, guys. So before we get too far into this review, guys, just a quick fun history on this particular locomotive, as it is a very unusual prototype. These SD40s have a very long history. They were used by quite a few roads. Some of these locomotives in particular cases were used for small short lines. They were used by KCS, later Conrail, then Norfolk Southern, and then CSX. So they have quite a bit of history to them. In this particular case, the 8911 is an ex-Conrail unit that was acquired by Norfolk Southern, and then later CSX. CSX received a couple of these SD40s, I believe 10 or 12 total, from Norfolk Southern in exchange for SD80 Max. The locomotives received quick patch jobs. They were not repaints. They just received new numbers, and they received the CSX boxcar herald on the side, known as the Y&4 CSX logo. Obviously, these made a big deal in the railroading community. A lot of people started seeing these and were trying to figure out what was going on and what they were for. Quickly, the history of these locomotives came out. People figured out what they were, and before we could even see these get used, or before they even racked up mainline mileage in this paint scheme, they were sent to Boise, Idaho, where they were rebuilt to SD40-3s. So unfortunately, the only time anyone actually got to see all 12 of these locomotives was when they were being shipped to Boise, Idaho, and then later put in storage in the Idaho storage line to be rebuilt. Nowadays, all these locomotives are rebuilt to SD40-3 specs, and they are running around as an SD40 frame, but they are rebuilt to -3 specs, new cabs, new nose, all that kind of thing. So it's unfortunate we never got to see these in action, but it is still a really cool model, and I'm pretty glad Athearn modeled this patch up, because it is, again, a very unique prototype, and it's very cool to see a really odd paint scheme like this in modern times. So you can see the version I have here is 8911. There are not too many photos I found of this locomotive. Like I said, these were very quickly shipped to Boise, Idaho after receiving these patch jobs. So there's not too many pictures of these locomotives in this scheme, unfortunately. However, there are just enough that I can compare the prototype to the model as Athearn has done it up here. As you can see, they've revamped the SD40, they've redone the chassis, they've redone the entire shell, so it's much more highly detailed and way better than the original Rail Products SD40 chassis and shell that they were originally using for their runs of SD40. So I'm pretty excited to see the new details on these SD40 models, so we'll go ahead and get right into this. The only other thing I'll mention here, I paid $118.98. I purchased this locomotive from Loco Joe's Hobbies in West Virginia, and I paid, again, $118.98. MSRP on these locomotives, I believe, is $134.98, so it was a good deal, and I got free shipping as well. So as we get started on this review, we'll be starting from the bottom here. We always have to cut these little pieces off. In some cases you can lift these off like this, so I can actually do that if I want to. I will take the lid off very carefully. Whoops. My little stickers are sticking here. I'll just be lifting this lid off kind of carefully here. And then we can slide the model out of the box like this. Again, very carefully. I'll say that something interesting about that right there, it was really tight in that box. I haven't had an Athearn model come out that hard before. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, looking at the box itself, good packaging as always. Athearn usually does a very good job. Inside the box we have a couple things to note. We have our exploded parts diagram here with all the parts listed and everything like that. We have all the listings for the parts, all item numbers, everything like that. Always good to save these manuals. We have the warranty card information, all that good stuff right there. In the box itself, we have the bag of fuel tank parts, extra screws, etc. These are handy, especially for modelers like me who want to add the extra details. They provide you with these really nice details like this, so it's a nice thing that Athearn does. We'll go ahead and get these boxes out of the way and go ahead and move on to the unpacking of the locomotive. These clamshell boxes are always encased in this plastic shell, so all we got to do is remove that. We will set this aside, and then we will unclip the first piece here at the top of the shell. And right away I'm looking for damage when I open a model like this. I want to keep an eye out for any missing parts or anything like that. So far so good. I don't see anything loose or busted, and we'll carefully remove the locomotive from its blister. And we will set these pieces aside, and now we can go ahead and remove the foam from the handrails. Again, a protective measure, a nice protective measure that Athearn takes in preserving the quality of the model and preserving these handrails. They do a good job of packing these things, so I really like these extra features because, again, it keeps the handrail safe, so that's a nice touch. And here it is, the 8911, nicknamed the Black Hornet. These paint schemes were very popular, and again, it's unfortunate we didn't get to see these running. However, the paint scheme is very cool. I'm glad Athearn modeled this. So looking at the model out of the box, no damage visible. Everything looks good, everything's intact. At first glance, I can notice that some of these handrails are a little bit crooked and a little bit bent. I know this is a pet peeve for a lot of modelers. The thing that I'm going to point out here, and the thing that usually bothers me the most if I'm looking for handrail damage, is the front handrail stanchions themselves. These are what are the hardest piece, or these are basically, is what I'm trying to say, the hardest piece to fix. And so I'm not going to pay attention too much to the handrails on the side, though I will be watching for cracks and damage like that. But if the handrails on the front are not damaged and the handrails on the back aren't damaged, those are the hardest pieces to fix and replace. And as you can see, they're really not bent on this model, so that's already a good sign for me. That being said, I can see that these handrails on the front are a little bit bent. Some of them are popped out though, so the good thing is I can later on take these off, bend them back into shape, and they should pop right back on. But again, no visible damage so far. Everything's looking good. All the detail parts appear to be intact. So that's a good sign right there compared to our Union Pacific GP40s. If you guys remember that, that was a disastrous unboxing. But everything's looking good on this model at first glance here. Okay, so I can see there's one little piece on the back here. This handrail has popped out, but again, not that big a deal. We can just pop that back in here. All good. And we can see that there's quite a good bit of detail here, so that's a very good sign. So the locomotive has passed my first visual inspection, which is great. It's time to look at some of the details on this very nice model now. Starting with the front pilot, we have the correct Conrail NS style low profile plow. We have MU cables, McHenry style knuckle coupler. We have the air hose. We have the correct Conrail style coupler lever, which I'm very happy to see that they did correctly. It has the small bracket that's welded to the coupler lift bar that leads upward. It's just basically a very simple metal handle that they welded to an older style of coupler lift bar. It's a very unique style coupler lift bar. We have the drop step. We have the MU receptacles that are mounted in the correct location as of prototype photos. We have the correct electrical cabinet on the nose, mounted right in front of the cab window here. Everything on the nose looks good. We got separately applied grab irons. We got separately applied windshield wipers on the cab. Really nicely done number boards. All kinds of separately applied details on the cab sides. We have the operating cab windows. We have the visors. This particular prototype does not have the sunshades, which is correct. Looking at the trucks here, we can see we got a wealth of nice details on the trucks. I absolutely love these early SD40 truck frames, and Athearn does a great job representing these details on these trucks. All the printing and everything looks good on them as well. All the raised details are just precise. I mean, they're such great trucks. You can really detail those up and make them look nice. But out of the box, again, the detail is amazing. We got the speed recorder in the correct location. All the fuel tank details are in the right location. Something I'm going to point out right away, too, on this model that I'm actually impressed about, we have the Salem air filters on the underside here. That's a Genesis. That's something you would expect to see on a Genesis model, and it's on an RTR model. So that's a very nice touch. I'm very happy with that, actually. Looking at the sides of the model, we have the very unique style of patching and printing. We have the 8911 number that's mounted actually crooked, if you can see that. It is slightly crooked, and that's actually something I just noticed that I'm actually impressed about, because the patch jobs on these locomotives were not perfect and they were quickly done, and they actually modeled the crooked numbers that the prototype has. That's actually really cool. So props to Athearn for that one. We got the SD40-2 designation. All the warning labels are crisp and evenly done. They look very good. All the CSX patching on the side with the boxcar logo, very nicely done. Again, great fuel tank detail, great truck detail. The filters, everything looks good. I love the newer grills. They look really nice. The dynamic brake blister is the newer style of blister, where they fixed it compared to the rail power shell, which had the massive grills. This is the more prototypical style grill, so that's really nice to see. You can see we have the nice details on the roof as well, but we'll get a better shot of that in a second. So looking at the rear end, we have all of the separately applied grab irons. We have the correct style of brake stand here. Separately applied details on the pilot. We got the knuckle brackets, Conrail style coupler lift bar, air hoses, MU cables, MU receptacles, the whole 9 yards. Looks very good. And we can see the unique CSX patching. Now, something I'm going to have to double check on the prototype here. You can see the CSX boxcar logo is hidden behind this, behind the brake wheel here. I'm not sure if that's accurate. It is hidden by this brake wheel, as you can see. I'm pretty sure CSX mounted these a little bit higher, or the logo rather. I believe they mounted it just below the number board on the prototype. I'll double check the photos and I'll come back to you on that one, but I don't believe that is accurate. So the conductor side of the model looks just as nice as the engineer side. We got all the separately applied details, the truck details, fuel tank details, all the nice printing and painting. The patching looks very good. It's very, very nicely done. And again, we got the patching on the nose, on the cab. We have the separately applied windshield wipers. We have the operating cab windows, the whole 9 yards. Something very cool that Athearn has done with this model as well is they've done the mismatched fans here. You can see one of the dynamic fans has been replaced, which is accurate because these fans on these early locomotives do get replaced over time, and you can see the mismatch is modeled accurately there as of prototype photos. That's actually really cool. We have the K5LA horn mounted in the correct location on the dynamic brake blister just behind the new fan here. All the nice details on the air duct room, on the blower housing, everything looks really good. We got the Conrail style AC unit painted white, just like on the prototype, and then we have the EOT antenna as well. As we take the locomotive to the layout, you can see it runs very smoothly and quietly. A nice feature of these Athearn RTR locomotives, they are just absolutely smooth runners and they pull a lot. A great feature of this model is that it has the LEDs installed in it, and as you can see they're very bright on very minimal power, so it does not take much to light these compared to the bulbs on the older Athearn locomotives. So it's worth mentioning that I have the straight DC version here, but Athearn does make this model in the DCC and sound ready version as well. Fortunately, these models are very easy to convert to DCC. All you got to do is install a drop-in decoder or swap out the board entirely and put your own in there to your preference. It's very easy to do. I've done it on a couple models. This one will eventually get swapped to DCC, but the one I purchased, like I said, was the DC version because it was cheaper and it was the one I could find the quickest. So I have the DC version. As you saw, the DC powered model runs very well. The lighting works very well as well. All that being said, I do wish this model had ditch lights. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. The LEDs are great, but it would have been even better if the model had the ditch lights and had the LEDs installed in them as well. I checked both couplers with the KD height gauge and everything lined up perfectly. There were no problems. It is a common problem on these plastic McHenry couplers to have them bent or raised, lowered, that kind of thing, and this model passed with flying colors. So my final thoughts on this model is it's a very great representation of these very odd CSX patch jobs. They were short-lived, but I'm just glad that Athearn took the time to actually model these, that being said. They look really good, the models are absolutely wonderful, the details are exquisite. Perfect patching, printing, everything looks great. The LED lighting is awesome. They run well. They're very easy to convert to DC. Overall, an excellent model and one I'm very happy to own. Alright guys, so that wraps up this product review. As you can see, I really like the model. It looks very great out of the box. There was no missing parts, nothing. It's a great model. As you guys know, I'm a huge stickler for these odd paint schemes and odd patch outs, and I'm really glad Athearn's taking on these kinds of odd challenges like this. Even though we didn't get to see these locomotives in service very long, it's still cool to see them take on this really odd patch job in this kind of project, and also putting it on a newer SD40 like this. It's really cool. I really am happy to see this. As always guys, thank you for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more. Subscribe here on YouTube for more content, more how-to videos, that kind of thing. I'll be posting some more videos here pretty shortly. You guys can stay tuned for that. Follow my work on Facebook and Instagram. My Facebook page is Dan's Custom Trains. Daniel Arnold is my name. I'm always posting pictures and videos of my work that I do for myself and other people. And of course follow me on Instagram. CoolHandDaniel5 is my Instagram name. You guys again can follow me there and see pictures, videos of my work that I do for other people, my own work as well. You guys can follow me there. And again, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more and take it easy.